Right, well, guess it's just the three of us. Just want to give a little update on what we've been working on. We've been pretty focused heavily on fixing our test suite all throughout Salt, and it's taken a lot of our time to work on this. So I haven't really been able to focus much on our Windows goals and requirements that we've been working on. Marcus has been pretty busy on the Windows MSI stuff, and he's made a lot of progress here. I was hoping he'd be on so we could talk about it. I want to share my screen here. Can you see that, Joe?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so column A is what our NSYS, our Nullsoft installer does, the switches that it has, and column B is what our MSI currently does. I just had a couple of questions for Marcus if he was on some of these things that he's added, and maybe some ideas of how to implement this. But so I've pulled from, if you go to salt-windows-msi, it's a GitHub account here, github.com/salt-windows-msi. That's where I'm getting the config settings we currently have with the MSI. And then to get the current ones we have with the Nullsoft installer, that's just out of the Salt documentation here. So it looks like we have the ability now to set our master. I think that's been there a while. We've shortened these too. They used to have longer names. Master key, we can pass a master public key. That's pretty cool. I think that's something that they've requested on the Nullsoft side, and we haven't been able to do that. And so Marcus has implemented that, and that's great. He's also allowed us to set ZN2 filtering. I think that's a minion config setting. I think that's a minion config setting, so that'll modify the minion config there. Minion ID, we've had that for a while. The ability to start the minion, we shortened that. I think it was start minion service before. We haven't been able to implement this yet, starting the minion delayed. And this switch here, which will overwrite the existing config no matter what. So, oh, Marcus just got on. Good. Hey, Marcus. Can you hear? Can you hear me, Joe?
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Okay. Good. Hey, I was just going over some of these things that you've been doing on the MSI.
Yep. Oh, I see. NSYS and MSI. Yeah.
Yeah. So just wanted to say what a good job you've been doing on it.
Thank you.
We haven't been able to do much on the work group tasks. We've been focused a lot on getting our test suite up and fixed, so we can start getting some of these releases for Salt out.
Okay, fair enough.
We're taking a more hardline approach on tests. We're not accepting PRs without passing tests. We're mandating tests for everything, and we're probably gonna end up changing our release process a little bit.
Okay, I'm all in favor of tests. In fact, I have one test which may not even be entered, which would be the 0MQ filtering test, which was missing. You said in fact, I tested. I can confirm the head now is able to do 0MQ filtering, but the two last releases missed that critical property, for me, critical property. So I'm completely stuck at the 2016 release still, which hurts. But I would not go into the details of why ZeroMQ filtering does not work. This is much too low for me currently. I will dive into ZeroMQ shortly, maybe next year.
So you're saying it works on the head of 2019 2.1 right now?
I used 2018 I did not even look into 2019. That's what I wrote. I think I'm still hesitant of the .0 release. I wrote it somewhere in my in the GitHub.
So you have an issue opened on it?
Sorry?
You have an issue opened on it?
Oh, several. Yes. Maybe are you aware of what ZeroMQ filtering does roughly?
No.
Okay. Very simple. There is a publish subscribe working in the question. There are two variants of publish subscribe. The one would be that I subscribe means that I get all news from everybody, and then I personally filter. So the client side filters, or the client filters, but he gets communication from everybody. This is a default. This kills our network because we have 30,000 minions and everybody receives everything. Or now all 20,000 pull down whenever anybody is getting a message. So you have the 30,000th value of network traffic. Filtering means the master filters and you have a subscribe only to yourself.
Okay.
This requires that the minion and the server both have the ZeroMQ filtering set to true. So this is why the MSI also needs the option to set it right away, because if the client is not set up correctly, he won't even listen.
Okay.
So it is like you have to set it in sync with your master. So the Nullsoft silently assumes that the master does not have ZeroMQ filtering, but sooner or later, or if somebody wants to use it, he has to set up the key also in the client. This is why the Nullsoft installer should also have a ZeroMQ filtering button. We can have a description. ZeroMQ filtering means client side publish subscribe.
Okay. Pub/sub.
Yeah. Client side pub/sub, which makes not a big difference if you have a few hundred client minions and you are in a installation. No, in a how you call it? In a mall, yeah. And then you have all good bandwidth and you don't care. Everybody pulls everything, but you are in a center where you have gigabit network, then it really doesn't matter. We have below, you won't believe what network we have.
Okay.
This is ZeroMQ filtering. It is essential, and we switched recently. This is a must-have. And a master key, I think you have already also, I see some communication. It's just, I think the Nullsoft also is, you can set the public master key as a file name property, and then it gets copied somewhere. I think I saw that.
So I think that was using the custom config. You could do it there.
Okay.
Custom config with the settings in there, and then it would go and set the minion name and the master ID after, I guess.
Yes. This is I'm working on. This is, you can have a remark. It's not. It's work in progress.
This is the minion config file.
Yeah, it is already. It's not yet. It's work in progress. Yeah.
Okay.
What the MSI is capable of doing, it will read every conf file in the minion.d directory. So whatever you have, any number of .config files, .conf files to be precise, every .conf file will be used as input in alphabetical order.
Right, and the comp files overwrite what's in the minion.
It does. Right. Yeah, many people use the minion.d folder to override the configuration, and since 2 weeks or so, the MSI file reads all the files, and if they are, then they will override the minion file above.
Okay. So are you having the way you have the MSI set up is that it will write those changes into the config files in the minion.d directory?
No, it will leave all files as they are, except it must change the master if you have told so. So if you change the master, only the master will get changed, and the master key, and the 0MQ filtering. But otherwise, all the configuration is left as is and not changed anywhere.
Okay, and if you pass a custom config, is it going to wipe out everything in the minion.d?
I'm not ready yet. In fact, we have to. This is something which we can a custom config file which is outside of the minion.d folder. That is.
Yeah, right.
I have not implemented that yet. I would put it into the minion.d folder and leave it there for Salt to start.
Okay, so that's how you would pass it.
Yeah, I would say it's a little bit strange. Why don't you you could put it yourself in the minion.d folder, but if you have a reason to have it outside, then I will simply also there change, if it contains the master, I would change the master to whatever you gave it, if you gave it. Right. So there are, I would rather create a little picture of what is happening when, because there are many, more than 3 possibilities. Maybe we write a little graphical workflow for that.
Okay. Yeah. See, I had it all. I think these two work together.
Default config. What exactly is?
So default config will overwrite the existing config with the default that comes with the installer.
Would that also delete all minion.d files, all conf file minion.d?
That's what I was just pulling up the source. I don't remember. I think it should, because you got to reset everything. I mean, it's kind of just a reset, you know?
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay. So it's a clean start. So delete all my configuration, please, for me.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair enough. If you are unsure what your configuration is, but you don't care, you can delete it.
Right. I got to see what the, dang it.
Config.
So clicking install will back up the existing min config file and minion.d directory. Okay. So, yeah. So it just backs it up. It doesn't override it.
It does not overwrite them.
It just backs them up, like put the .back of that.
Okay, but so they are no longer respected by by Salt. Yeah. Okay, then I can mimic that. This is done in C#, so I have little problems of doing whatever has to be done.
I don't know where the code is that does that though. Let's see, where is it? This is all the GUI stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we have a backup existing config here. So it renames it
Yeah.
.back and a timestamp. So it gives a timestamp.
Yeah. Okay. And if it finds the folder, it renames the whole folder. This is a little strange. Is it able to rename a folder into a .back folder?
Yeah, it just adds a .back to the name.
Oh, the folder is being renamed. Yes, of course, that's possible. Yeah, of course. Then the folder will be called .d.back and timestamp. Okay, then it's no longer, yeah, then it's no longer used. Okay, I can implement that. So it resets, it like default config would be, yeah, I understand. It resets and backups existing config.
Yeah, so that's what that one does.
Okay, yeah, I can do that. We are about to roll out the our unfortunately very old Salt Minion, and then I can change the MSI installer again. I now have a kind of code freeze. I would not change it in the next days, but then I can start again doing work.
Now,
okay, I can understand what you want.
And I don't know if we did that on custom config. If you pass a custom config, if it's custom config, and it's not empty, so make sure it's passed. Let's see. So it copies it. Huh. So it doesn't do it on a custom config, looks like. Only
so the custom config, it adds to the existing.
Well, I think it will overwrite existing config, but that's not going to take into account anything that's in a minion.d.
Oh, I see. It overwrites the conf minion file.
Yeah. But this doesn't get called. This doesn't run here because we're not checking existing config found. So if it finds one and we're not using the existing config, okay, so maybe this gets set. Okay, so existing config, this config type state is going to be custom config. So I think this will also get triggered if we pass a custom config. So if we do a custom config, this will happen. And if we do a default config, this will happen. The only time this doesn't get backed up is if we're using the existing config option, which is the default option for the Nullsoft installer.
Which is okay. You should not just create a backup always. This sounds good.
Right. It only does a backup if you're passing a custom config or you tell it to use the default config for Salt.
Yeah, which makes perfectly sense.
Okay. You have to remember my logic. What I did.
Yeah, good. Okay. So this is something which I can implement easily, or I have not yet. Default and custom config. In fact, it's helpful that we just, this discussion was helpful.
Okay. And the minion delayed thing.
This is easy done. I simply have to document it. It comes with Microsoft, like.
Oh, it's a part of.
out of the box. It's just I have to document it. This is something you can enter on the command line, and then I finally have to find some very huge amounts of chocolate before to change the graphical interface. Is really bizarre, and but it's the functionality comes with the house.
Okay. Now I wanted to dive into that. I wanted to try to make another dialog box and see if I could figure that out, but I haven't. Like I said, I haven't had time to get on that because of what we've been focused on here.
Yeah.
I feel like you're doing all the work and I haven't. That's what I felt like, because they've had us focused on this other stuff, you know.
Yeah, no problem. This is I started. I will start. In fact, I will first start with documentation, and the GUI will be coming at last. So this will take time before it enters. I did some research. I spent like half a day finding out how you can check and uncheck in the graphical user interface, but it takes just huge amount of time to get this graphical user interface like programmable. Jackson, no, what was his name? Not Jackson. Yeah, well, who I took over from at that time. It's hard to program. You find very few people who are capable of programming this MSI stuff, though I think it has a kind of future. So the WIX framework is also capable of creating all the new flavors of installers. So I think this is a future-safe technology. It's just hard to program.
Right, it's not really intuitive.
It isn't. No.
Well, neither is Nullsoft. I mean.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, I looked into it and I thought also interesting. This is reverse Polish notation or stuff, or
like they're totally their own thing. I don't know.
This is funny. Yeah.
Not very well documented. It does a lot of works with the stack a lot.
Yeah.
You put the stack and pull them off, and that's kind of how you make yours.
That's interesting too. Yeah.
Are you guys able to hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, Marcus, I think you and I should take a discussion offline about the GUI. I would definitely like to investigate that further because I actually have some time.
Oh, good.
Now, today, this week, and next week. And I think writing something down on a piece of paper that would have an architectural workflow that would make the most sense in terms of setting custom options, having the ability to, like you said, like select checkboxes, have an option of select all, deselect all, things that are very Windows-y that would make sense in an installer. Good.
They're very good, very good. Let's do that. I have time until 6:30 my time. This is in about half an hour. I have to jump away. Mm-hmm. But when would you have time next?
Honestly, tomorrow and forward, because I would like to take today to do a little bit of research, look at the code, the existing code, and then I think I could come to you with some questions. We could work through them and have a solid starting foundation.
Okay. So tomorrow, let me tell you, I am free at about the same time. So whatever your time is now, next time, tomorrow would be fine for me at the same time.
Okay, cool. I can
even earlier, but I think now, what is your time currently? It's
10 a.m. here. 10
a.m. Oh,
I could definitely do 2 hours earlier, 3 hours earlier, whatever's best for you.
Oh, let's make an hour earlier then.
Okay.
But if you read through, or yeah, good, nice.
Yeah, we'll get that worked out as soon as we get offline from here. I'll get I'll set up a Zoom and send you an invite to it.
Okay.
I can show them where the files are too.
Oh, my video works fine.
Oh, nice. See ya.
Cool. Hi. Okay. All right. So, hey, can you your mic? I'm hearing. I could echo myself over there.
Yeah, mute myself now.
Okay. So this looks good, Marcus. I'll work with Joe and show him where the GUI file is, where there's one custom page, it looks like, that we made for the GUI, for the MSI installer, and I can show him that and can kind of get him started on building another one.
Yeah, building works. I have just recently finished work on a patched version of 2016. There is something which comes to my mind if other people would like to, or if you would like to run it, these, what are they called? The C++ runtime comes in a format of a merge module. Could we put these on the Salt master so everybody can read them? Because even you don't have them. You need the Visual Studio installation and grab them out of there. It would be much easier. I set them on a Google Drive and you can catch them from there.
Yeah, can you email that to me and I'll get them up on our repo?
Good. Email or Google Drive.
I'll put them up on, well, email me the link to the Google Drive or however you want to send them.
Yeah, okay. Well, either way. Okay.
It'll be repo.saltstack.com dependencies is kind of where I put stuff.
Yes. Then I think it's easiest for everybody to get them there. And I have not yet found time. I've set up a virtual machine like you. I now use this Hyper-V thing. It finally works. When you know how it works, it's exceptionally fast. And I have not tried to leave out the merge module C++ runtime and see if it works without them. I just put it there because it was faster. Maybe we need them also for only a few cases, but I give them to you and then we first run it without. I don't know how to make it like optional. Maybe you would need a variant to make the installer not containing the runtime. It would be nice to have it optional, but I think you have to remove it simply, the instruction from the XML to not put the runtime into the installer, which is why I did not do it, because I have the installer, it doesn't hurt, and maybe it's just easier to leave it inside and don't even care about whether it's used really.
Yeah, I say we leave it in it.
Yep. It's just 1 megabyte. It's exceptionally small. It really doesn't matter if it's inside by size.
But this must be the same thing.
It's a little different. It's not an MSU, it's an MSM.
Right.
MS is an update, I think, but they are the same size. They're very small, and the only difference might be in the character. I don't know. Microsoft.
Do you have the 32-bit and the 64-bit versions of them?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, and 32 and 64, the MSI installer is capable of doing both. I have not tried it in a while. And I definitely would like to go into Python 3, but this brings me to my 2 issues I have open, which I would like to discuss with you, because we have just one, we have both showstopper issues. And the one issue is that on the Python 2,
what is your handle here?
Marcus Kramer.
With a K, right?
Marcus Kramer, and then even longer, it's all in, and then igit, right? This is the stupidest thing I've done so far.
Why am I not?
It's all, that's strange.
Why I can't see it?
It looks good.
Marcus Kramer.
Yeah, with 2T. That's strange. It's neither open nor closed. I can find it probably.
Do you have a number, an issue number?
I should have. That would be issues, my issues. What's the number? 53885, which is zero MQ filtering is now working on the head of Python 3, but this is only the head, and it has a delay. So the delay is would also make me not use it. So it seems that you ask what does delay means, and it simply says that you start the salt minion service, and only after 6 minutes it sends actually the minion start event. So it does 6 minutes, I don't know, contemplating how nice the world is.
Okay.
And this is not, I would hesitate using it. I would do it only if I'm really forced, because a delay of 6 minutes would cause a number of problems.
So it works on 2016 11, but above that, we start seeing, when it does work, there's a delay.
Yep.
And it doesn't work at all on Python 3.
On the head, on the released version, yeah.
Okay, but it does work on the head. So it's been fixed, but it still has a delay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
do you have a test like this? Would be an integration test, which is difficult to set up. First set the zero MQ filter on the server, then on the client, then do a number of tests. Does such an integration test exist at all?
I do not know. Is this a part of zero MQ?
It is directly a zero MQ variable. So it's just passing through the salt variables are getting set into zero MQ and nothing done further.
So this isn't a transport. I thought zero MQ. Okay. Well, I don't know if we have tests. We should have tests. I don't even know where that would be.
Well, it also has nothing to do, I think it has nothing to do with Windows, so it would be a real core issue.
Right, but we do have, I just don't know which folder it's under here.
There is no transport here.
No. Well, where is it in Salt? Let's see here. Transport. There is a transport. Yeah, we don't have any transport tests. You may have unit tests. Unless you have unit tests.
I doubt it should. I doubt it could be tested by a unit test, because server and master must, or maybe if a unit test can also configure salt master and a minion, it could be a unit test. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Here's the base test. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Right. So that's.
Get config. So it loads up the configs. It's like, okay, and so then we have
Okay, that's well. I think the unit test is even faster to run if it can set these variables and do a test. Then should be doing it because, as
Yeah,
you said,
I don't know if it's testing your specific issue. So ZMQ filtering, all I see is ZMQ config test the get master URI method, and that's the only test we're running here.
okay.
The ZMQ, and this is one of these. Test send, test destroy. I'll have to look for testing, but if we do fix it, there has to be a test written for it. So
Yeah, well, it seems to be fixed on the head. So, but in fact, it should have a if you can, these variables we see here, how many are there, and could then the filtering be added possibly?
So here we go.
A window up. Oh, the accept wait time, and oh, here we are. True. Good. So we could change that to why it says true. That's funny. Enabled. So it should. That's about perfect.
So look,
Test filtering. Yeah.
it's skipping on Windows.
Yeah. Could you remove that?
Yeah, well, it's probably not passing, and it may be a timeout. It may be timing out, and if you're seeing a 6 minute.
Well, it works. It works. It worked on 2016 without a delay.
Right, but so the way the tests are written is if it doesn't get a response within a certain amount of time, then it times out.
Oh, this is interesting. Yeah. The thing is,
so I would need to look at this test and maybe see if maybe we ought to run it on your machine and see if it runs, skip it out.
it ran a while ago, and I depend on it. Yeah. Okay, so we found it. That's nice.
Yeah. There's a test for it. I'm seeing if I can run it here.
Yep.
See if it runs.
Yeah, it runs on the head. If you run it on the head, I see after you could I don't know, may even get away from the 6-minute problem and run it, and then it should run out of the box. And
okay.
Unit transfer test 0MQ. Okay. Yeah, and then there will be, I don't know, I don't want to be too philosophic, but I will stay as long, I will go to Python 3 if performance allows. Currently, performance does not allow me to go to Python 3. I have done some tests which show me that test.version, just running test.version makes my CPU 3 times, 4 times the amount of CPU, and I will wait for better time.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. So that burns up your CPU just in a test.version?
Yep. I can present that, of course. I have another issue open, which is 53890. Then I edit just the numbers. Oh, interesting.
This is what I get on it.
Not supported. This is simply, it works. I use it on Windows, so what does it mean, protocol not supported?
The chest RC. I wonder if 0MQ, we probably do some different things on Windows. We handled things on Windows differently. I'll have to look at this a little more.
Yeah.
DY.
The test sets also server and it sets up the server and the client with both the variable. Does it?
Server channel, thread, start the thread, minion config, or does it set minion config?
Oh, that's the minion config, right?
Okay. Well, let me work on this one a little bit and see if I can get my guy.
I can have a look at it too. It's test config in unit tests. I will find that
It's under the
because
pub
I'm
channel class. It's
unit
under
transport. Yeah, I see.
Here and then pub server channel.
Yeah. I can look into. I will have also look into it because it's such a difference. We run that for a year, and we have a bandwidth which is like a very small fraction, and this is very, very necessary.
Okay. Let me write that issue down here.
Oh, you already have. You are already owning that issue. Yeah.
And the other.
The performance. Oh yeah. Which kind of? I just described when we have a look at what was it? 53885. No, wrong. 53890.
So that's the other one?
That's the CPU of mostly 53890. So it is on Python 3. What I get is on the last released version, it's 2 Python processes. This is on the Git. On the head, it's much better. On the head now, I only have 1 Python process running for 8 seconds, which is just not nice. So I know that 2016 is out of date, but this is my benchmark. It should be better than 2016, and that's below. It's 20% for 3 seconds. This is hardly noticeable. So the head of Python 3 runs for 8 seconds, which is not as good as 3 seconds. But the released version has 2 Python processes, which runs for 50 seconds, which is a consumption of 50%. And this is noticeable by too much.
Yeah, so we've had problems with slowness with Python 3. Moving to Python 3, I have to increase the timeout on the command line so that it doesn't time out, just doing the test.ping.
Yep.
Default is 5 seconds. I set it to 30, usually just to make sure I get something back. And
yeah.
it usually comes back if you can, but yeah, this is a known issue. And we're seeing a lot of this in our test suite as well. Our Py3 tests take 50% longer to run. If you look at our Jenkins run, for example, so this is Python 2. So Amazon Linux, Python 2 is 3 hours. Python 3, oh, it's actually fast on, oh, that's Linux too. But Windows,
6 hours, yeah.
6 hours, and I think they're 3 hours on Python 2. So
and it comes also with the CPU consumption. I think it has to do with the multitasking and there was a discussion between, I found it also recently, again, on how to do the multitasking on Windows.
Multiprocessing.
Multiprocessing, yeah.
Yeah, it's the way it forks. So, I guess in Linux, I'm not a Linux guy, but when you fork process, you kind of get a copy of everything. And in Windows, it all has to be generated when you fork a process.
Yeah,
yeah,
possibly.
All the stuff in memory. So we have to regenerate the grains and regenerate all the things that the minion needs. It doesn't just get a copy from that process.
I get an understanding.
That's part of the slowness on Windows, but there still should be ways to speed this up. Now, if you turn multiprocessing off, it's quite a bit faster. You know, you're just threading at that point. But we've had problems with the job cache with multiprocessing off. That's why we went to multiprocessing.
I see. I set the job cache off, by the way. So if I'm very funny, then I could set multiprocessing off, and because I don't need the job cache.
Okay. Well, try that out. It is much faster.
I see.
I think we still recommend multiprocessing, and I can't remember all the reasons why. This was a couple of years ago.
I can try that. Maybe it even solves the 6 minutes problem. The 6 minute problem is a very strange thing, and it would not be explained by, it just idles. It doesn't eat memory, it doesn't eat CPU, it just idles for 6 minutes. It looks like a timeout. No, not like a timeout. It looks like a sleep. It sleeps for 6 minutes, and then finally it says, "Oh yeah, I started."
So does that mean send a test.ping and it will wait 6 minutes before it gets it and does it? Is that what you're saying?
When you start the service, you stop the service and you start it again. Then before it reaches before it actually tries to reach the master, 6 minute pass.
Okay, so it's setting the connection up to the master.
It's setting up the connection to the master, but after 6 minutes.
This is my other issue here. So I'm gonna look at both of these. I'll talk to my guy about this too. This is probably all core stuff.
It is, I think so, yeah.
I'll talk to my guy about both of these.
Okay.
These are showstoppers for you, right? That's why you're stuck on 20.
Exactly. I would love to get rid of that, because we have also bugs in the modules which we cannot work around. And I can make the measurements more accurate. But before I do that, I would like to know, how can I debug? No, I did something funny, which was the profiling of the salt master, which finally worked. So profiling the salt master was very, very helpful. How can I debug the Windows minion? Because then I would see what takes 6 minutes.
I don't know.
Okay.
Is it PDB? Was that the one?
I don't know. PDB.
Is that the debugging?
If you can't tell me, then I won't try to find out myself. Then.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never done it.
Okay, maybe somebody did. Somebody did. We could throw that into the Windows discussion group in Slack or something. Maybe there's a genius who's able to debug on Windows, and we are not aware of it.
Okay. Let me bring this up with. I don't know. I'll see if I can get DWAS to visit with you about it. Maybe we ought to set up another meeting with you and DWAS, and you can explain this stuff, and you might have a better understanding of what's going on. We've been doing some we've been finding some memory leaks.
Oh.
And he's been doing a lot with debugging and trying to find those memory leaks.
On Windows?
Windows, it's across all operating systems.
Oh.
So maybe as we're closing those, maybe this will be fixed, but this may be a symptom of something that that he's trying to fix. And so it may not be related, but if it's something that we can replicate, the problem with the memory leak is we can't replicate it. And if it's something that's taken obviously 6 minutes, then maybe this is something that we can debug and.
Yep, I see. I wouldn't know how this is related, but this is strange. Yeah, if you can tell me how I can debug, then I will try. But because it's completely it is completely replicable, reproducible. Yep.
And he would know how to do that. So let me talk to him, see if he might have a few cycles in a morning. He works really late. I see him on Slack at like 3 a.m.
Oh.
Which is middle of the day for you. So he might be able to meet you some other time. Let me get back with you on that, Marcus, and see if I can set up a time where we can get together and talk about these two issues.
Okay. And I just saw you have accepted the pull request on the MSI. I think I'm a little bit confused now by emails or something. No, you approved the MSI pull request.
I just merged it this morning.
Oh, you merged it. Okay, perfect. Oh yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Good. Then work will continue, and I'm looking forward to you, Joe, to set up what exactly we want to do with these options. It's also, I prefer that to do that before and then make because it looks like everybody will appreciate documentation.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, for sure. I think even before the meeting, what I'll do is I'll draw on like a little bit of a piece of paper, sort of like a very standard workflow of how dialogues should be presented, especially in a Windows environment. And then you can kind of fill in which options you want per dialogue, like to make the most logical workflow sense.
Yep.
And then the rest is just plugging in the functions that need to be there to control the UI, and that's about it.
Good. Then, in about, I ran a little bit out of time. Sorry for 10 minutes late, but anyhow, in the next will be in 2 weeks, or what is our schedule?
It'll be next month.
Next month? Oh, we're only a month. Yeah.
One a month. So I'll get with DWAS and we'll try to schedule something over the next week or two, maybe just for half an hour, to at least talk about these two issues and see if he's got any ideas, and maybe send you in the right direction on how to debug it on Windows.
Debug would be interesting. I think we already found that there is a unit test, which is just deactivated. So you have already a discussion. You had already a discussion about it. We just need to set the test back on, or you have to set the test back on, because I know it worked, and it would be very problematic if it wouldn't work in the future. And somehow it works on the head. So I think it will be doable. I hope very well it will be doable.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your time, Marcus. Thanks for getting on.
Thank you for your time. See you next month latest, and in the meantime we go on.
Yeah.
We'll be in touch soon, Marcus.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.